Hi guys, it's Pavi. Just wanted to jump on here quickly and just clarify the tweet that is currently going viral at the moment on social media, which was of Alex De Minaur responding back to me, saying along the lines as it's a shame that you weren't good enough to play tennis, to be in a position to beat Yannick Sinner, and you might have put a better performance than me, and it's kind of gone viral. And that was in a response for me saying during the match that Alex De Minaur doesn't show that he's got the self-belief to even compete with Yannick Sinner or even beat him. So I just want to clarify that point, because tennis media is what I would kind of say left-leaning, and you get a lot of people that are kind of brainwashed and for many, many years, and they kind of follow the establishment narratives, and you know, they can form an opinion, and a lot of their opinions is that Djokovic is the bad guy, and anyone who supports him or a big fan of him are also toxic and bad. So, you know, what you will get is a lot of people saying, yes, you know, let's get him because he's a bad guy and all that sort of stuff. But first of all, as a blogger, I'm someone who's watched thousands of games, both live and on TV. So, you know, I run a tennis club for over 10 years. I've watched not just ATP games, but WTA games, future games, challenger games, amateur games, you know, whatever. I'm a tennis nut, and I watch loads of games. And during that time of 20, 30 years when I've been doing that, I've accumulated quite a lot of knowledge. So the premise that Alex De Minaur is coming back to someone, first of all, who's a fan. I'm not, you know, an affiliated media with any company or anyone. I'm essentially a fan and someone who blogs in my part-time, you know, as a hobby, really. So the fact that he kind of responds is almost alluding to that no one can comment on his performance unless you've been at that level, which is bizarre, because you look at all the top players and they all have coaches, and none of their coaches are better than them. Some of them haven't even played tennis before. You know, even Ronaldo and Messi in football, they still get taught by managers and coaches. And, you know, some of these footballers have never even played football at any sort of level. You know, Arsene Wenger is probably one of the famous ones who wasn't particularly good at football and was one of the greatest, you know, managers that Arsenal have had and in football. So that, first of all, that point is mute. The other point is Alex De Minaur has got a right to say that he doesn't agree with me. But in his post-match conference, he kind of said, he was asked, what did you make of the performance? And he was saying, well, you know, it's really difficult to play Yannick Sinner. I wasn't particularly surprised. And then he went on to say, even Djokovic really struggled against him last year and didn't get that many games. And I just think that was bizarre, because he is almost saying that he expected to lose. Now, he went into this Australian Open when an Australian qualifier, Tristan Skulke, took a set of Yannick Sinner. Holger Rune took a set of Yannick Sinner. Yannick Sinner had more than 20 unforced errors in this match today. He wasn't at his very best by any stretch of the means. He played very, very well, but he wasn't at his best. Now, I think what's really grating on Alex De Minaur is that he knows that this was a full house. All of Australia have been talking about this match as the Australian #1. Alex De Minaur is a top 10 player against Yannick Sinner. Ticket prices, you know, $300, $400, $500, that they're not cheap. And people weren't necessarily expecting an upset, but they were expecting some fight, some courage, some determination, and for the match to be competitive. And Alex De Minaur, unfortunately, didn't show any of that. And you know, he and his coaches will sit down and they'll say, yeah, you know, you didn't perform well. I don't see what the big issue is in me tweeting that. And I've not tagged him. I've kind of tweeted that without tagging him in any of the posts. But he's obviously felt inclined to go on there and defend himself, which I just think is, he's got the right to do. And I don't mind him doing that. But you know, everyone kind of jumping up and down saying, oh, he's you know, oh, well done, game setter match, De Minaur. You know, it's a deflection of a really bad performance and really letting the fans down, because he did the same performance. If he wants to talk about Djokovic and bring that in the post-match conference, let's talk about his performance against Djokovic in 2023, where Djokovic beat him 6-2, 6-1, 6-2, so even worse than Jannik Sinner. And that was also a night match, also a sellout, also where the Australian public went home very, very disappointed. So I've kind of said here, is it a case that he freezes on the big stage? Psychologically, does he have the self-belief that he can beat Jannik Sinner? And the fact that he was serving at 50%, now with the serving, it doesn't matter who's your opponent is, you serve. He was hitting 50% of first serves in. You can't, as a professional, only get 1 in every 2 first serves in. You can't win matches like that. You can't complete, and you certainly can't do that against the world number 1. So I think, I'm very much stand by my comments. I don't think they were, it was a very, very good performance, but the hypocrisy is something that's really important. Now, before this match, all I was reading on tennis media and bloggers was about yesterday's amazing match between Djokovic and Alcaraz. But everyone's saying Djokovic is faking it. Oh, yeah, he's histrionics. He's a drama thing. He puts players off, and he put Carlos Alcaraz. That's the only reason he wins. And he lies about his injuries and, all of that. And after Djokovic has won an amazing game and an amazing battle, and Djokovic was asked about it. Sasa Rosmo did an interview with him, and he said, what, this is what they do. I can't do anything right. If I win, I get criticised. If I lose, I get criticised. If I get an injury, they don't believe me. And he said it kind of helps motivate him because it is proving people wrong. And that's what motivates me. People will try and silence me or call me names and all that's it. But I will call it as it is. And Alex De Minaur also said some really kind of bad comments in 2022 towards Novak Djokovic. He called him a drama queen when he was about to get deported and was kind of giggling at him in press conferences, just not acting particularly nicely against him. And then in an interview, he kind of said Djokovic is an amazing player, but not so off court, when he doesn't even know Djokovic, doesn't even know anything about him in terms of what he does off court and how many people he helps, what he supports, how nice he is, how generous he is. So to come out with comments kind of going into his personality was wrong. So yeah, I've probably been a little bit harsher on Alex De Minaur than other players, but that's only because I was expecting a good match. I even thought De Minaur had a chance to beat Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner went into this match not in particularly good shape. He'd lost a couple of sets. He'd had a little bit of a wobble with, he was shaking. He had an injury timeout. He didn't quite seem to have that spring with him. And if Alex De Minaur, in my opinion, was pumped and in his belief, he felt that he could go out and win that game, I think he could. But from the very, very onset, it almost appeared that in his head, he was willing to sacrifice that match as someone that he, in his heart, he didn't believe that he could actually beat Jannik Sinner. But like I said, fair enough. If he wants to call it out, he wants to call it out. But that's my kind of version of it. It's no big deal, but, Twitter will make it a big deal because this is what left-leaning tennis media does, and the establishment kind of dictate what happens. But it's important to get the facts out as well. I haven't got a problem with Alex De Minaur. He's fiance of Katie Boulter, who I've supported since a junior. I've watched her live at the Nottingham Tennis Centre, Birmingham, Surbiton. You name it. I've got no issues with her, and I know some of her camp as well. Absolutely no issue. I know Alex. He follows a lot of the British tennis players himself, and he's always at British events. So if I see him, I won't have an issue. I'll have a speak to him straight. I've not got any angst against him, but we as bloggers or anyone have got a right to criticize, and it's not, I wasn't calling him names or telling him to go back to his own country like that Tony Jones did to Djokovic and his fans. I just basically was very disappointed in his performance, and have pretty much said that, and fair enough, if he took offense to that, then he can do. But then his press conference afterwards is a little bit contradictory, because he's kind of almost replicated what I've said, in that he almost felt that he didn't feel that he had any chance against Jannik Sinner, and if anything, I actually had belief in De Minaur, because I think he is a fantastic player. I think he's improved massively in the last 2 or 3 years, and I really felt that he had the weapons to go on and put it on Sinner, and it just didn't materialise today. But there we have it. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that from my point of view. and yeah, you know, it adds to the excitement of the Australian Open this year. It's been crazy with all sorts going off, but you know, the hypocrisy is just something on another level. You know, you look at loads of tennis fans absolutely hammering Djokovic, vilifying him, journalists. We saw what Tony Jones thought of him. We saw what Australian commentators, when they were off air in 2022, said about him, and some of the articles. You know, you had an article by Dewey Nathan calling him a clown 3 times. They didn't get any of this heat at all, but it is what it is, and you know, it's not going to detract us from going out there and speaking the truth. And like I said, you know, the support that I get always outweighs all the negativity, so I appreciate all you guys having my back, and yeah, we keep going, and we keep on trying to expose the double standards and hypocrisy in tennis, and calling things as they are. All right, peace out, take care, and stay blessed, all of you. Speak to you soon. Bye.